Have you ever wanted to have lanterns give off light as you walk around in vanilla Minecraft with no Optifine? In this video, I will show you how to either download the Datapack and resource pack from the description and install this feature to your world, or you can stick along and see exactly how all of it works. To use this, you are going to need both a resource pack and a data pack. The resource pack is optional. That's only if you want to make the 3D model of the lantern in the hand. But you could just use the item. It just doesn't look quite as good. So for the data pack, you will go to your world save that you want it in. Click on it, go to the data packs folder. If you're on a server, that you should also have a data packs folder for that world save that you're running, and drag the .zip from the download into there, just as you see here. Just place it as the zip. And once you go back into your world, you can type reload, and once you pull out a lantern, you can walk around and it will light things up just like this, whether in your main hand or in your offhand. And that is all the installation. If you want to use the resource pack, you will have to either include this asset in your resource pack. I suggest for most of this, you do not leave it as a separate module, but include it into your resource pack that you use on the server, or your data packs that you could leave it as a separate module for a data pack. You will also need the resource pack, but I honestly think that you should just include the files in your current resource pack. But if you just want to use the resource pack on its own, it's in the download in the description, and you just drag the zip into there. Let me rename this to RP so it's clear what it is. And yeah, just drag that in there and go ahead and put it in game, and it'll just show up right here like this. Side note, if you want to include the asset in yours, it's very simple. Just open the zip up, go into assets, Minecraft, models, item, and it will just be one file called lantern, and it'll just alter your lantern. So put the file in the same folder path as I have here. You probably already have this folder path, so just put it in the folder. Anyways, if you are not into the technical side of it, then that's all for this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright, so if you're still around, I assume that you wanted a kind of technical explanation as to how this works. So the first step is to get a resource pack from the description, which has the 3D model for the lantern. All you have to do for this is copy the game's default block model for the lantern, and then change some of the view models so that it looks the way that it does here. One side effect is, of course, the item will look different probably than a lantern without the resource pack on. So how this exactly works is it uses light blocks. So there's a new block they added to the game called light blocks, and you can give yourself the item just like this. And what the block essentially is, it's a block of light that emits light from a various level. So you can change the level of the light block. So if I go into the code, essentially this is all it's doing. So every 10 ticks, and the reason I did 10 tick loop is because players cannot move very fast, and you might notice this choppiness, but you cannot avoid this choppiness even if you try various techniques. You cannot avoid the choppiness because they are blocks causing the light and not entities causing the light. And since they are blocks, players cannot move more than, roughly one block per half of a second or so. Like, players are not very, very fast. You do not need to check every tick. And this gives you significant efficiency improvements, especially since the things you need to do in this pack, the two main things, is 2 player MBT checks. In this case, only 1, but I will add the second really quickly. You need to do 2 MBT checks, which is expensive. And you have to do a @E check, which is also going to be expensive. So what this essentially does is if the player is holding a lantern in their main hand or their offhand, it runs the light function. The light function will go to the player, go up a block so that it's not on the floor, it's in their head. And most of the time, if a player is standing and there won't be a block inside their head except for very particular blocks like doors and tall grass. So if the block that's in their head is air, which will be a lot of the time, then it will summon a marker that is called lantern block, and it will set that block to be a light block instead of an air block. One thing to note is that I believe water blocks, I don't think they can go through light blocks, but they might be able to, but lantern probably won't work underwater. So yeah, it does that, and then it does that for every block in the 4 cardinal directions. So one this way, one this way, one this way, and one this way. But the light level it sets is one less so that it's consistent. It's not giving extra light. It is kind of just extending the current light system. So what this does is if you are inside of a door, you will still have light showing up. But if you are behind a wall, the light won't go through the wall. I mean, in this case, it goes a little bit through the wall, but it's not actually penetrating through the wall. That's just ambient it going around. But if this was like a solid box, you would not see the light on the inside because it can't set a light block inside and the light will not go inside. But when I walk through the door, it stays lit, which is nice. Then for all of these light blocks, eventually we want to destroy them. So before we place new ones, we go to all of the light blocks and we delete them and just set the block to air and kill the entity. So yeah, this one does have some expensive things going on. Every half of a second that a player is holding an item, you are summoning 5 markers. Markers are the most efficient entity in the game, but you are still summoning 5 of them per half of a second for every player that is holding one of these lanterns. So you can see maybe some efficiency issues when you have like 100 players, but in single player or low quantity players, this is a very efficient data pack and you should not notice any meaningful difference to your load. You can see right now that my TPS, this is kind of a measurement of how efficient or bad your data pack is completely blank, literally nothing. As I walk around, you see maybe a little blip here and there, so you basically can't even tell that I have this data pack on. That's how lightweight it is. If you need any more proof, then go ahead and run the slash debug, I believe, and take a look at all of those stats yourself. This is a pretty great pack. It's pretty good, pretty simple in what it does, pretty efficient. You can also do this for other light up things. The only other things that I could see that should do this, not candles because they're not lit while in your hand. You have to light them with a flint. The only other thing I could see is torches and soul torches doing this. And maybe some other things like obviously bucket of lava. I mean, Optifine makes other items glow. You can just expand this to them and just play around with the light levels and have different functions for the different types of things. I found that making lanterns light up is pretty fair and it gives a reason for you to make a lantern. Most people don't even make them. They'll just light things up with torches. So it kind of gives a secondary benefit to the lantern. And it also is balanced because if torches did this, then you probably don't need to place torches in a cave. Whereas lanterns, if you do make a lantern, lanterns are a little bit harder to make because you need the iron nuggets. So I feel like this is more balanced if this is the effect. This is the only thing that does it. Anyways, if you guys found this useful, leave a like. Feel free to use this in any of your creations. You don't need to credit me. Other than that, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.